Madam President, today we begin our immigration debate in earnest. Senator McConnell has kept his promise to bring an immigration vehicle to the floor. This week we'll be taking a series of votes on DACA, border security, and other related subjects. I'd like to take just a few minutes to outline where I'm at on these issues and where I see this week's debate heading. I've made very clear, Madam President, that I believe we need a legislative fix for DACA. We cannot continue to keep people in our country and grant them work authorization by executive fiat. DACA recipients deserve certainty. So too do other immigrants who enter our country legally and have done their best to follow the rules. We also need better border security and interior enforcement. 30 years ago, we granted amnesty to nearly 3 million illegal immigrants. And the result over the next 2 decades was a surge in illegal immigration. We need to prevent that from happening again. I think it's fair and equitable to give DACA recipients a pathway to lawful status because they came to our country through no fault of their own, but I also believe we need to pair DACA legislation with strict border security and interior enforcement measures so that we don't find ourselves right back here again in another 20 or 30 years, or even shorter. I also think legal immigration needs to be part of the discussion, in particular, high-skilled immigration. I've spoken several times here on the Senate floor about how high-skilled immigration is merit-based immigration. It's immigration targeted at the best, the brightest, and the most highly educated. It's immigration targeted at individuals who have the skills employers need. Madam President, I believe we can find a path forward on our current immigration controversy, and I'm committed to doing everything I can to bring both sides together. But I also want to be clear right here at the outset. High-skilled for merit-based immigration needs to be part of the discussion, especially if we start talking about reforms to family-based immigration. Getting to 60 votes is going to take a lot of negotiation. I know that as well as anyone. I've passed more bills into law than any other member of Congress alive today. I know how this process works. And so I say to my colleagues, as you think about how to advance your priorities this week, keep in mind the priorities I've outlined recently. Take a look at my I-squared bill and at the amendments I'll be filing. These are indications of what I'm hoping to accomplish. I believe we can get something across the finish line. I really do. I think we can have a bill we can all be proud of. But in order for that to happen, we have to be reasonable. We have to consider a broad range of views. It can't just be my way or the highway. And we need a bill that can also pass the House and then be signed into law by the President. I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and get to work, and I'm ready to work with my colleagues to find areas of compromise and to accommodate competing priorities. I've made my priorities clear. Let's work together to get something done. Madam President, I yield the floor.